Hey, good morning guys. It's Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. And if you don't recognize the place I've been driving through, I'm going to tell you now what it is. I am in Port Clinton at the headquarters of Reading and Northern Railroad. And I will be meeting up with Randy from Emerald Sound Productions. And hopefully we're going to get to take a look around the facility today. We'll see how it goes. I've never done this before. But apparently you can get a visitor's pass and have a look around. So let's see what we can find. Actually, let's first see if we can even find parking. That could be problematic. Of course, that's reserved. Alright guys, I got a little lucky as I was discussing plans with Randy. Spot opened up. So let's go exploring. Alright guys, so Randy and I, we just parked, we checked in and got our visitor's badge. They are really friendly here and they are totally cool if you want to walk around. You just obviously have to be very careful. It's an active rail yard. We are allowed to film here. And I'm here with Randy. That's looking down into Port Clinton. And where we're headed first is across the road here. That is the steam shop, and I'm told that both 2102 and 425 are there getting worked on today. Hopefully we'll be able to go inside. It's never a guarantee. I'm not sure what these trucks are to, but they look like they would belong to passenger cars that the name I know them by is Doodlebugs, where they're actually powered passenger cars and they have these little cow catchers on them. And I know Reading and Northern has a couple that they just use as regular passenger cars. I'm thinking that's what these are. Kind of like everything here today, guys, it's mostly going to be a guess, other than I know 425 and 2102. Alright guys, so I am standing outside of the Reading and Northern Steam Shop. You can guess this is one of my favorite places on earth. I don't know how well it's coming out on film, but 2102 is sitting in there right behind this 802 switcher diesel. Looks like she's in stall number 2. And supposedly 425 is in there being worked on as well. We've got a switcher in the yard here. I believe this is 425's regular tender. She's going to be doing her first run of the year on July 9th. Today is June 8th. So whatever work they're doing to her, they got to be getting her ready for that excursion. And this is the turntable here. I can see why it's not big enough for 2102. And then they've got 425's auxiliary tender. Which we recently saw in Reading. They had brought that to Reading to refill 2102's tender with water. And then this last building on the end here says this is the wheel tune shop. Now you are allowed to go in these buildings, but you have to ask permission first. And they may still say no, depending what they're doing. But you kind of got to find somebody outside here to ask. Alright, so we've walked over to the steam shop. Looks like they're welding inside, so at the moment we're probably not going to be able to go in. You can see we've got the lovely 2102 here today, which has been the star of every show on my channel this year. Almost every. We've seen some other cool stuff too. And then all the way in the back there, you can see they've got the smoke box opened up. That is my beloved 425. Who had always been the star of the show on this channel the last couple of years before they got 2102 running. This is my first time seeing them in person side by side. And wow, there's a bigger size difference in them than I even realized. 425 is a light Pacific 462 configuration, and 2102 is a Northern 484 configuration. And I love them both, guys. I'm never going to pick favorites at this point. I guess in a way it's kind of 425, but it's getting hard to say that because 2102 is really growing on me. So I love them both. There's room in my life for 2 steam engines and more. Alright guys, I happened to just run into someone I knew, and we now have permission to come in and take a look at our lovely locomotives here. This of course is the Reading T1 number 2102, now Reading and Northern. And I won't get into it in this video, but my sister has been going through some of my dad's stuff. My dad was a big rail fan. We're now, for better or worse, starting to divide up his collection. And we've actually found he apparently had spent some time riding behind this engine and chasing this engine. And we have found some interesting memorabilia. And that will be the topic of another video. This locomotive, for some reason, looks even bigger when you get it indoors. I guess because you have something to see it, you know, in context of. My God, she's a beauty. And I know I've mentioned it 50 million times already. I'll say it again. I will be riding behind 2102 in one of the dome cars in October. And I am very much looking forward to that. I mean, to give you a sense of size, guys, I'm 5'5". I can walk right underneath these air tanks, and the top of this drive wheel's a couple inches above my head. I fit in here without even having to duck down. I certainly don't know the specifics, but there's a lot of work that goes into maintaining these old steam engines between every run. You don't just turn them off and turn them back on. There's, you know, a lot of cleaning, a lot of lubricating, a lot of everything that goes on. Alright, so we'll take a walk around the other side. And I'm going a little bit slow because I got to be careful, watch for stuff on the floor here. It's really, really generous of Reading and Northern to let visitors come. You just have to be careful, be respectful, ask permission, watch for moving trains. I don't know any other railroad that does this. So this is fantastic. And what you're seeing here, this would be the front face of 425. 425 is over here. We'll check her out in a minute. You know, she's my favorite, one of my favorites. Let me see if I can get around to get a look. Alright, hard to get a look for you guys from this angle. I guess there's the centerpiece is still separate to the smoke box. Not sure where that is. Probably somewhere here. These guys work a lot neater in their workshop than I work in mine, and I'm only working on ones that are 1 to 160th scale. So here's 425, like you've never seen her before in any of my videos. Like I said, she will be running in a little over a month. And I know they're doing some welding in here today. They've got this fan in here. I'm sure it's got to be hot working inside there. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but something. And I'll get you the best look I can at her here. A little dirty today. I'm sure they're going to clean her up real nice. It's another thing I love about Reading and Northern is they keep their trains very nice. And even though you may see a lot of passenger cars that are still kind of old and faded, they've been one by one fixing them up. In fact, I was talking to somebody here, and their paint department is absolutely crazy. And I'll tell you what, if I was ever able to work on trains, that would actually be the work I would want to do. I've always loved painting models. I'd love to try my hand at the real thing sometime. Not sure if that's part of the front or not. And here's why you got to be super careful walking around these places, guys. This is similar to the engine shop I was just in Strasbourg the other week. Looks like they're doing some work to change things around here. This would be a pit that they could work underneath the locomotives. Not sure if that's going to be for 2102 or 425, or probably both. But you can see her tenders off. That's what's under the blue tarp in the yard. I'm going to turn the film camera off now so I can take some photographs. We'll pick this up again soon. And so right after I turned the camera off, I found the important bits here. We've got 425's bell. And we've got her front light. The little lights, I don't know if they have a specific name. There's number 425 on the side. Alright, so I could literally just move into that steam shop and live there, but there's other stuff to see. We've got an SW8 switcher, number 802 out here. And then under this tarp, like I said, is 425's main tender. And I gotta tell you, man, after seeing 425 next to 2102, I cannot believe the size difference. Obviously, I knew 2102 was larger. I didn't realize how much larger. I mean, they don't even look like they're the same scale. It's crazy. And so we'll get a closer look at the turntable up here. Probably not going to see it in action today, obviously. And then we've got the auxiliary tender, a rail car, and we're going to go beyond this building here. Like I said, I think I see a dome car being painted. We're going to check that out. Hello.
Hi.
Good. Alright guys, so this looks like one of the newer shops here. This is their wheel shop. Not going to touch anything, obviously. I know that they do work for other railroads as well. I'm not sure if these are the wheels for diesels. They probably are because they got the electric motors. I would really love to learn more about all this stuff. And you see that back there, guys? I was wondering if we'd see that today. That is what they call the critter. Sort of old diesel parts that they use to move stuff around within the yard and the shop. So if you ever come visit a place like this, be very, very careful where you walk. There's always things that could be tripped over or slipped on. You gotta be super careful. Alright, here it is, guys. This is what I call dome car number 3. I'm not sure what number it actually is, but you could tell it is being cleaned up. I can smell fresh primer. It smells exactly like the stuff I use on my model cars. May very well be the same stuff. But they told us they were redoing this car inside and out. There's a peek inside. That was one of the other rules. You're not allowed to climb inside the cars. Not that I could get inside this anyway. I'm not really a climber. It's a different color scheme than the other one that I rode. Not sure what railroad this one was originally. Probably has a lineage of several railroads. And that rustling you hear, that's the plastic wrap. Keep the paint off of the glass windows. We'll take a walk around both sides here. And just like the shops, if you guys ever come out somewhere like this, there's hoses and power lines and everything on the ground. You just gotta be careful. You know, it's a working rail yard, it's not a museum. Even if it may look like I'm treating it as one right now. But be safe. You don't want to ruin this for yourself or for other rail fans. And here is another, I'm guessing this was one of the Iowa Pacific cars. Rio Grande. Or it's just one I haven't seen before. It's cleaned off down to the stainless steel. We'll get back to the dome car in a second. A lot of squirrel moments here, guys. Everything's worth looking at. A lot of these stainless steel cars, you can eventually make out what the lettering used to say. So I'm trying to see if I can read. You can see the letters, but they're too faint for me to really make out. I can tell you the car number was 448. Maybe that'll help me identify it later on. Let's get back to walking around the dome car. They've been getting a lot of new cars from other railroads. And here's the thing, guys, they have 3 dome cars now. I've ridden one of them, even though I know you haven't seen the video. That'll be out soon, probably before this one. I haven't edited it yet as of today. But I will be riding in one of them in October. I just don't know which one. So that is a mystery. And just here is one of their gondolas. This would actually be the main line coming through I'm pointing at now. That goes back to the parking area and the train station that's facing south. As I swing the camera north, you see a lot of rails in the yard. And that'll, if you keep going north, that'll go up to Tamaqua and then eventually in through Nesquehoning. And then at the Y, you can either head north into Lehigh Gorge towards Whitehaven, or you can head south into Jim Thorpe. It's a route that I'm getting to know and love well. Sometimes you actually want to get a little further away from the cars to get a better view. So we're coming around the other side of the dome car now. And I'm going to guess that this will be painted the same red, dark red and gold as the Lehigh Gorge Explorer dome car that I rode, but we'll just have to wait and see. Then that's the back side of the wheel shop. To put it in perspective where we are, that's the steam shop up there. Alright guys, we got some action in Port Clinton.
We're actually working the yard. He's probably going to go up here and throw the switch.
Probably, that'd be our luck.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what they're doing.
Randy called it right.
They're working the yard.
Alright, we're going to have to chase this one, guys. That's one of the little switchers like I have on my layout. Let's see what number it is.
1546.
Alright, that's number 1546. I have number 1542. But it's the exact same kind of switcher. And now that I think about it, this is only the second time I've seen one run. First time I saw it, I wasn't able to get it on film. So he's just moving 3 coal cars. That's looking north up the Schuylkill River towards the steam shop. Randy and I are speculating this would have at one time been 3 lines running through here back in the old Reading days across that bridge. And over here is the mechanical and maintenance of way department. And we're going to be heading way back to the other end, back towards the station. And they got the diesel shop and some other stuff down here. Alright, so we're getting closer to the station here. You can see the white tanker car that they use to refill the steam engines with water. This red caboose here was the one that 2102 pulled on the empty coal hopper test run. And this sign across the way here, this is the Appalachian Trail. We've actually seen hikers coming through here all day. Give those guys a lot of credit. I've dabbled with the Appalachian Trail, and for now it's too difficult for me. I hope someday to be able to do even a couple short sections near my house though. And this is the one I call Dome Car number 2. This is Reading and Northern number 6. For now it's named the Scenic View. This one came from Iowa Pacific. They've been running this on the Lehigh Gorge trains, and then this was also in the consist behind 2102 the other week. Sorry, we're watching a car behind us. I gotta imagine they'll be repainting that soon. And then up here, these older blue cars for the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway. There's not too many of the blue ones left. They've been repainting them red. I mean, the cars are still here. They've been repainting them. These were originally built by Bethlehem Steel. I don't know at what location. Probably not the Bethlehem one. And then up here is the little switcher that ran away from us. So we caught it. Just take a walk around it so you can see one of these up close. And I know when I get home I'm going to want to play with my little N scale number 1542, which is the same thing. It's 1500 horsepower SW 1500. I always called it an SW 15, but it says SW 1500. Alright guys, we are now south of the station in Port Clinton, and this is more the diesel section of the yard here. You can see another switcher back there, number 1548. And these black diesels, these would be some of the recent acquisitions from Norfolk Southern, and when I say recent, I believe that was last year already. And then there's 2011, which I've seen running before in Lehigh Gorge. The Lehigh Gorge diesels, they use them both for Lehigh Gorge and for freight. And that is their diesel shop, so we're going to go take a look there. And then on that side they have the car shop. And in about an hour, and this is probably how we'll wrap up the trip, I've been told that the NRFF, which is the North Reading Fast Freight, will be coming through. Probably by that time I'm going to want to sit myself on one of those benches there, and it'll come through on this track right here. So stay tuned. Alright, so we're taking a look inside the car shop here. They got a couple of coal hoppers farther in, and they've got a CSX coal hopper here, which is a little odd to see up in this area, but they must have bought this recently. It says RBMN number 10130, so that's probably another recent acquisition. Then you've got this wall here. It looks like a bunch of air hoses, brake shoes, different cables. Got an old box car with some spare parts out here. Let's see what's inside the box car. Looks like that's just being used for storage. We've got some wheel sets down here. And we're taking a look in the other end of the car shop here. This is the southern end. This is very similar to one of the hopper cars you've seen on my N scale layout. And changing the wheels on the real ones is a little bit more work than changing the N scale ones. But you can see they've got that jacked up and are working on that here today. Alright guys, here's a really cool sight, and at the same time also a little bit of a sad sight. We've got two lovely F7As out in the yard across the way there, number 250 and 251. They are EMD F7As. They were both built in 1953, originally for the Bessemer and Lake Erie Railroad, and then later for the Southern Railroad of New Jersey. You can still see, although it's very faded, those are the original paint jobs. I do not know if Reading and Northern has any plans to fix those up, but obviously I'd love to see them restored and looking and running as good as 270 and 275. Which actually are in the yard today. I've only caught in little glimpses of them. I'll try to get you a good look before we go. Alright, we're getting a better look at the second F unit. This is the Southern Railroad of New Jersey one. And this also confirms another suspicion I had. I always wondered if they had more than one of these whitewater tankers, and this is the second one I've seen here today. So I know they have at least two. Alright, so the last main building we need to check out is the Reading and Northern Diesel Shop here. And you can see they got a lot inside. They've got a lot out in the yard. Some of these engines we've seen before, some we have not. You're going to see a lot of Norfolk Southern diesels, both in their original livery and painted over. These Norfolk Southern diesels are now owned by Reading and Northern, and they're gradually getting redone and repainted. And let's see what that switcher is. Alright, so we've gotten permission to walk in here, guys. Some of this I'll be able to talk over. Others I'm going to have to put some music to avoid a copyright strike, but I think as long as I'm talking over the music, it'll be okay. What you're looking at here are diesel engines. And if you thought the wheels on the steam engines were pretty big, well, these things are even bigger because, let's see, my head comes up to about here. A little bit more than half the height of these. I'm 5'5". I'm not very tall, but yeah, these are still pretty big, pretty impressive. Definitely wouldn't fit in my truck. I'm not sure what that spray paint's referring to. I'll withhold commentary. Not going to go too deep into the shop. It looks like it gets harder to see. But what we're looking at here, this is number 5018. We've seen this one before. You remember when I filmed it in Jim Thorpe in 2020? It was red and gray instead of black and gray. It's an SD 50-2. I believe it was originally a CSX. And it was repainted to look more like, in fact, to look identical to number 5019. We've walked around both engines in Jim Thorpe, and we saw them doubled up with 425 when we caught it last October in Nesquehoning. And this is pretty neat, getting a look here. I'm not going to step any closer to the edge, but you know, they've got like a pit here that they can walk in and work on the underside. That's the fuel tank. I'm sure you guys have seen prices at the pump lately. It's painful to fill our own vehicles. I can't imagine what it costs to fill this one with diesel. And then you got the front set of trucks here. It's 6 wheels, 3 axles. And you got the cab up here. They've got a platform alongside. So I'm not going to walk any further back because I'm not going to be able to film much of meaning for you back there. But just giving you a little bit of idea of the environment that they have to work on these. You've got the pit here, and then that, you know, you get the tracks out the door to the yard. And I'm still waiting for my 5018 and 5019 in N scale. I pre-ordered those. They're being made by Atlas. I pre-ordered them a year ago. They've been delayed. And I actually talked to the guy in Trains and Lanes on May 28th when we were there for our intermission in Chasing 2102. He said they were supposed to be here this month meaning May, but that they didn't show up, and who knows when they will. We're still waiting, but I will be getting this diesel in N scale along with 5019, although I believe the N scale one will still be painted red. And then we got one of the Norfolk Southern diesels being worked on here. Like I said, these are now owned by Redding and Northern. So this is probably our last chance to see it in its original colors. Don't know the number. They've already taken the number board off this one. Not sure if I'll be able to see it anywhere else on it. And this is pretty cool. I can only walk a little bit here, guys, because then there's another pit in the floor. I don't want to fall into that. But you can see here's one of those diesel engines installed. It looks like they've got it apart. But you can see how that fits within the body of the locomotive. And here's its original number. This was Norfolk Southern, number 3488. And this is an SD 40-2. That's the kind I'm finally starting to be able to identify. Got Redding and Northern 3051 behind it. And like I said, I'm not going to go any further back here. I'll go a couple more steps, but then we have a pit. I'm going to have to get a picture of this. This is pretty cool. They're working on this switcher 1540, and you can see they've got it kind of separated from the rear truck there. So I'm going to stop the recording, take some pictures, and we'll pick it back up in the yard.
This ain't even halogen. This is still incandescent.
So Randy and I have been checking out ditch lights on the diesels, and we're surprised they haven't moved to the LED lights yet. So this one here, this is an incandescent. Was that one we were just looking at halogen on the Norfolk Southern? The Norfolk Southern was halogen, and Reading and Northern 2004 still using incandescent. What do you think of that, guys?
And I used to make them when I was in my 20s. I used to work in a factory in Boyertown that made the headlights for the trains.
That's pretty cool. So Randy actually worked where they made some of the train headlights, hence why we took interest in them. I'm gonna just walk around the yard here, guys, see what there is to see. We got about 25 minutes till the fast freight comes through, maybe a little bit longer, but it is getting kind of hot out here, so we're kind of trying to wrap things up. Been out here for a couple hours. Really enjoying the heck out of it, though. It's like walking on a real-life train layout. I just absolutely love it. I feel right at home. That's number 801 back there, the little switcher. This is number 2015. Looks like the Norfolk Southern Black. I don't know if this one was Norfolk Southern or CSX. Alright, that was an easy fix thanks to the internet. For those of you who are curious, they do have a locomotive roster posted on their website, which is rbmnrr.com. And this is a former Norfolk Southern. This is a GP38-2. So this would be the same as the number 2013. I got the cab right in at Lehigh Gorge. And I was getting this confused with other numbers. This one was Norfolk Southern 2015, probably due to be repainted. And here's another one of the switchers like mine, but it's not mine. This is number 1548. So I guess 1542 is out doing work somewhere today, guys. Sorry I couldn't show that to you, although I did see it up in Jim Thorpe on my last train ride. Check this out up ahead. This blue car just arrived, from what I can tell, within the last week or two. It was another one I had seen come through on virtual railfans cameras, and it ended up here. I believe they got 3 of those blue cars. Another one's more silver and blue. We'll have to walk over there. We're going to take a walk and see the F units 270 and 275. And so far I've ignored one of the nicest things of all here, and that's the train station itself. We got to look at this up close. When I was on the Bud car, we were on the track closest to the building, so it was hard to really get a panoramic shot taking it all in. And now that I'm walking on the opposite side here, I can kind of see everything from here. It's got a clock tower up top there. And it's got a covered section for some of the cars. I'm not sure what that's actually used for, but I usually see the first class cars under there. Let's just take a walk. So you've seen a lot of these Iowa Pacific cars come in. The newest ones are from Saratoga and North Creek. Really don't know the story behind them. That's something I'll have to research, but I know Reading and Northern's getting a lot of nice cars, guys, and hopefully over this year and the coming years I'm going to have a chance to ride in a lot of them. This is just some maintenance of way equipment that we've been walking past. Again, I wish I could really tell you something about it, but I have a lot of learning to do. I just know that it maintains the tracks. There's another one of their first class cars, the Glenanoco Falls. I believe I filmed that at Reading Outer Station once. It's getting a little hard to remember. This Mock Chunk Club in King Cole. I know King Cole was the last car on the first Iron Horse Rambles. I believe the Mock Chunk Club car was on there too. Again, those are both first class cars. And this King Cole car is really nice. It's got that rounded, I call it the boat tail end. I believe that's the right name for it, I think. That's what I call it. That was the final car on the train, so you'll see that instead of a caboose. They did not have a caboose on the Iron Horse Rambles. And then we have the beautiful F units here. These were former Norfolk Southern. When Norfolk Southern had them, they pulled Norfolk Southern's executive train, and they were numbered 4270 and 4275. So they more or less kept their numbers here, just dropping the first digit and getting a new paint job that's consistent with some of the new color schemes they've been doing here at Reading and Northern. And then last but not least, we're back to the other side of the Iowa Pacific Dome car there. From what I understand, that Dome car has like dining car style seating up top. I haven't been inside of that one yet, but I'll have to check that out someday. Alright guys, so Randy from Emerald Sound Productions and I just concluded our epic day visiting Reading and Northern headquarters in Port Clinton, Pennsylvania. Sorry for my voice. I've really been battling allergies bad this year, guys. That's why I've sounded like crap all day, but I feel great. And I'd been hanging out hoping this train was going to move. I thought it was going to. Now I can see all they did was disconnect the switcher, so I would have been waiting a long time for absolutely nothing. But we spent 5 wonderful hours here, and I hope you enjoyed the tour with us. And I want to thank everybody at Reading and Northern Railroad, Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern. I've heard it said both ways. Andy, if you're watching this, you have a fantastic railroad. Your staff is just so kind, so friendly, and I really appreciate the fact that we can have such open access to everything. I don't think there's another railroad around that would really let people walk around and take pictures and photos like we did today. And for anybody who wants to come out and visit yourself, you know, you're welcome to do so. It's free. You do have to get a visitor's pass just by seeing the receptionist in the station in the main building. She was extremely nice. Got chatting with her for a while. There's a couple rules you have to follow just to be safe and respectful. And so please do that, because this is such a privilege. If you visit, please follow the rules. We don't ever want to lose that privilege. But thank you to everybody who was here today from Reading and Northern. It was just a very memorable day. And thank you, Randy, from Emerald Sound Productions, for joining me today. I'll put a link in the description to his channel. You can check that out too. And now I've got the really fun part, which is pulling out into rush hour traffic on 61. This might take a while. So I'll say it now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you down the tracks.